fresh every day out there. I don't know.
Mhm.
I can't explain it, but it's really, really inspiring, and it's getting me back there more and more. Like I'm going to be spending more time there. I think the next year or so.
Oh, cool.
So we'll be seeing each other in person.
Yeah, yeah. So you're in Montreal.
Montreal, Quebec, the French Canada, La Nouvelle France, which is the new France, which is yeah, that's where I am.
Right on. How's the Rona up there?
Rona, you know about Rona? Oh, the Corona or Rona?
The Corona. Well, what's Rona?
Okay, Rona is like the Home Depot up here. So,
Oh, I know a lot about Home Depot, but
so I thought you got really deep. You're like, yo, as if like you know exactly what you were talking about. But Corona out here was pretty bad actually. Montreal was the hardest hit city in the country.
oh wow.
Simply, I called it. I knew we would have a problem because of we're the only French in Canada, and we're the only ones who kiss on both cheeks. We're very touchy. We're very, very social, very French. Oh, we love going out. And that, if you put that in a situation like this, you just know that it's going to spread faster. And it's exactly what happened.
Yeah, man. I've honestly kind of like checked out a little bit for like the last week just because it's too much to take in. But
I get it.
everything opens today here in Sacramento. So like bars
Gradually, it's not gradually. It's going to be straight up everything.
they went we were in phase like deep into phase 2, whatever that was. And then I think with just all the protests and all the rioting that was going, actually Sacramento kept it pretty chill. But I think just to kind of chill everybody out, they decided to open everything. So like bars,
Careful, because I'm seeing a lot of cities who open too early who they would have rather waited a little longer, I think. And it's just I think everybody it's your own decision, but good luck, man.
yeah, no, so like bars are opening today. They're gonna try and figure out how to open schools pretty soon, which will probably just either be so like we got an email for our 4-year-old, and they're gonna do like a lottery. So like if your kid gets picked, they can go in, but it might not be everybody goes in.
I'm surprised they don't do it like I don't know if you remember like in Lodi school district when there was a school with too many people, they would separate them all.
Yeah.
And rent 2 months and 2 months off or something like that.
Yeah, tracks.
That was amazing.
Oh, it was the best. I was on track C, I think, which was like we had Christmas off. You had like November and December off.
I don't know anywhere else where they did that. That was the only time I've ever heard of a system doing that, and I kind of wish I had it my whole life. It was nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, I think I could see them doing like split classes where it'd be like 4 hours and then they leave and then like another group comes in. Or even like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, something like that. It's gonna have to happen. But
how many kids you got?
2.
How do you do those things, man? I've been trying for years. It doesn't work for me.
Well, we had to use we did IVF.
So, don't go into detail. I was just joking.
Right. I mean, I can explain how it is, but there's also videos and websites. But hey, so I got some notes I wanted to ask you. Did you do a promo for the Cold War kids?
No, but I do know them.
Okay.
I worked with Matt Moss, the bass player, was the art director for my old record label in Orange County.
Oh, okay.
So I got to hang out with those guys quite a lot actually after work. I didn't even know this is when Cold War Kids were simply literally a garage band. I mean, They were just practicing at home and inviting their friends to shows. And luckily I got in their circle, I think through work, because obviously we had similar work friends. And yeah, I've been to their houses. I've been many situations with them. It's interesting how they turned out too.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that first album years and years, but I remember it being really good.
That first album was amazing. They've had a few releases afterwards that I enjoyed. The latest one I haven't listened to, but yeah, there's a lot of soul there. There's a lot of and after knowing those guys personally, I think they're real kids, man. They're real big-hearted good kids.
Cool. So is M for Montreal your company?
No, it was started by 2 individuals, the president and the co-founder. The president lives here in Montreal, and the co-founder is one of the bookers at the Glastonbury Festival, which is the biggest festival in the world. He was the first guy to bring Oasis to Glastonbury. He used to book He used to be the agent for the Smiths New Order, a Factory Records scene in the 80s, which was kind of like the biggest revolution of that time. So that guy was involved in all these amazing things. And he and my boss started them from Montreal to help export Canadian talent. I came on board after the first edition, and it just kind of went crazy afterwards. But yeah, it's not mine. I'm the programming director. I'm the festival director in a lot of ways. I do all the content, and I invite a lot of professionals. It's not just a festival of music. We invite over 200 industry professionals from all over the world, from 15 different countries to come here, and I help select those people to come out here. And with the aid of the government, with all the funding, we're able to help pay trips for a lot of professionals to come out here and discover Montreal.
Damn, that's awesome. So is it almost kind of like South by Southwest? Because that's kind of like
that's exactly what it is. It's actually it's South by Southwest, but in the boutique format, very, very small. We make it to where all the professionals see every band and meet all the people behind the band. So there's no messing around. You really get the full experience. You don't, because versus South by Southwest, it's a great conference and festival, but there's so much competition, so many things happening. You don't know where to go. You don't know who to see. You don't know who to meet. You're drunk half the time. Yeah. So we kind of do everything more, we simplified everything to make it more productive and effective to help Canadian artists, because that's our main goal, is to try to get Canadian artists to get seen by professionals from all over the world.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have a buddy that owns a record label in Portland, Tender Loving Empire, and it's kind of like a boutique thing, and they do records as well. And he's done South by Southwest a few times, and I just remember him being like, "Dude, it was rad, but it's a clusterfuck. Like, you have no idea like what's going on, where you're at."
There's been years I've seen people get murdered in front of me. That there's been accidents, weird things have happened there. I've been to jail there once or twice. There's been years where like I don't want to be there. I don't want to go there. It's too much. It's too much energy. There's always shit that goes down there. It's like, it's Texas and you're at a huge music festival. Something's bound to happen every time. You just don't know what it is, if you'll be there at the right moment. It's messed up, dude. There's been years where I felt like it was a little more mellow. They have ups and downs, man, but you never know what to expect.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I mean, you'd think like it would, because it's been around for forever. You'd think it'd kind of streamline, or they'd kind of learn from their mistakes.
Well, you should see the amount of money they were making for a while. When you got Doritos and Monster Energy drink, McDonald's and Coca-Cola, who's sitting there going, "Yeah, I want this, I want that. What are you gonna do?" "No, we don't want your money." "No, of course we want your money." They tried to accommodate for too many people, and then all these big media companies started investing in. Wow, it still is like, you still have to be there. If you're in the industry, you have to go there to do something. You have to be there. So there's no choice. Even though I know many people who hate it, they have to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been hooked up a couple times where I've got to go like backstage all access at a few different festival type deals. And like one was Outside Lands. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then we got hooked up all access at Aftershock here in Sacramento. Oh, what's up? Who's this guy or gal?
Girl, Misha.
Misha? Hey, Misha. I don't know where my dog is. He's old. I don't think he can make it up the stairs. But yeah, it's pretty impressive when you see, first of all, like how organized something like that is. You know, like Aftershock was huge, and there's multiple bands playing at one time, and it's streamlined. There's security everywhere. You had to have the different bracelets to get to different tiers of the place. So, and then yeah, it was really pretty cool seeing it all come to,
Have you been to Bottle Rock, or was it Bottle Rock?
I haven't been to Bottle Rock. I got a buddy that he's a chef in Napa out there, and his winery, he works at Prisoner Winery, and he gets like the vendor thing. So like they go and pour and they do all that stuff. He said it's rad. He said it's super nice.
Yeah, I'd love to go someday.
Yeah, they've got the lineup's getting better and better each year. There's always like it's a festival, so there's always bands you could care less about seeing. But
so yeah, a lot of people like that, like buyers for those festivals, we bring them out to my festival, come out there, see the bands, and hopefully they could book them. So that's why I go to a lot of festivals all over the world. We do a lot of exchanges and things like that. But yeah, there's a lot more I'd love to do in California. We've got a lot of festivals, but I don't get to do much in California because our festival is based around more conference festivals, which is industry. like South by Southwest. The ones in California are more like party festivals.
Yeah.
And,
Well, the Bottle Rock one, that one's got like they do food
yeah,
exhibits and there's cooking
the
and
wine, of course. Yeah.
yeah, the wine.
Yeah, they're really gourmet. It's a nice festival. It looks like a really cool thing.
Yeah. Outside Lands was kind of like that too. I think we caught it. It was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It was the year Nine Inch Nails played, and which I guess I like Nine Inch Nails. I'm not sure. I haven't really like figured them out yet, but they were kind of boring live. But their show was awesome. But
There's something. They're a band that grew on me, obviously. And you hear all the work that Trent is doing on the side. You're like, oh shit, he did this, he did that. Oh my God, this guy's always been a genius. He was just I think in a genre that was a little turn maybe some of us off. It wasn't easy to like them, you know.
yeah, it's kind of.
But aside from M from Montreal, I also booked like a bigger festival outside of here in a smaller town called It's called Santa Teresa. It's a festival in a city called Saint Teresa. It's like in a small little suburban town, a quiet, sleepy town. And this festival takes over 3 days, and it's really cool. And it got canceled this year because of course, the coronavirus. But yeah, so aside from M for Montreal, I do another festival too. You'll have to come up one day if you want to bring the family. I'm sure I'd set you up with a media pass and do your
Hell
thing.
yeah. Yeah, we definitely like our kids they're 2 and 4, so it's pretty hard to travel with them still. But yeah, in the next year or two, it should be a little bit easier. I've always
you got California. You've got the whole coast, man. You can do anything you want out there.
Yeah. No, I know. We've gone to Tahoe quite a few times and all that shit. So, so you were in Long Drive Home, obviously, lead singer.
Yeah.
Is that kind of where you're? I mean, you always kind of seemed like the dude that was putting on shows. Even
yeah,
back
you know my past. Yeah, well, I started doing shows as soon as I could. I was 15, 16, working at the warehouse in Lodi, record store, and I had a lot of family in town who worked in some industries that were able to hook me up with the right person. And at 16, I was able to put on shows in American Legion halls, in veteran halls. Started with Chi Cheng of the Deftones, his brother Ming, who helped me start up. And I've had family who helped me get into buildings. And so I started putting on shows really early. I was the only kid doing shows out there. No one else was doing it, so someone had to. And I just picked up my I didn't have any tools to put on shows. Honestly, I had a pager back then. But yeah, it worked out pretty nice, and it gave me a lot of experience. And that's how I booked Papa Roach, actually, when they were starting or whatever. I was so young, booking this band that was blowing up, and soon enough, it's thanks to them that I got more on the professional side, because I started touring with their management hired me to help some of their newer bands like Seventh Standard and Dredge. So I went from, and that's how I met the guys from a record label called the Militia Group while I was putting on shows for their band. So putting on shows in Lodi opened all the doors for me, actually, to the industry. So warehouse and putting on my own shows in Lodi got me there. I never thought Lodi would actually attribute to anything when it came to that. But it did help me. I'm still doing this for a living. I sit back, I'm like 20 years later, I'm like, dude, even longer than that, actually.
Dude, it's probably, it's at least 25 years.
I started very young. I was in high school.
I remember going to Silence Broken shows.
Oh my God. All right. So don't tell anybody what year I am or what age. Don't mention years, because if people know how old I am, they'll be like, what the hell?
Yeah. I remember it was the first one we went to was at a pizza place in Stockton, like up from the Music Box. Whatever street that is that like Barnes and Noble was on, and like
it's on Pacific. It was Guidi's Pizza or Pepperonis.
And then
I can't believe you were there, man. You are OG.
Yeah, and then there was there was a taco place too, that or a Mexican restaurant or whatever that.
Wait, in Stockton?
Yeah.
Wait, did we play there?
I don't know if you guys played there, but I went.
No, we didn't. But I know what you're talking about. It was such the most random place for sure.
I want to say like it was like Chavo's Tacos or something like that.
Chavez Tacos.
Hell yeah! I just remember seeing a band like I can't remember the band.
3 a.m. Mechanics.
That's what it was. That's what it was. I knew it was something. They're like kind of like an aggro, like hardcore band.
I can't believe we both remember the 3 a.m. Mechanics
3 a.m.
show
Mechanics.
at Chavez Tacos in Stockton. That was like a restaurant that was taken over by punk rockers that just got broken down, I feel like.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, god damn, I can't remember that. But,
holy shit, you really are OG, bro. What the fuck?
And then so like Silence Broken, just kind of you were booking shows. I still have a Sandwich Mafia tape somewhere.
Dude, that band, I kind of hated them, but I'll give them this. To this day, they had the best name of any band I've ever heard.
It's a good one.
It was. And the logo was like the Godfather logo with the Sandwich Mafia. Yeah. To this day, that's still in my head. You see, we picked up on a lot of the same things because we grew up in the same area. So, we need to hang out, bro. Yeah,
for sure, man. Yeah, I have I got it somewhere. And I have all the Seventh Standard stuff. And
we just played with them at a reunion show, actually.
Yeah, dude. I was bummed. I think one of my kids was sick or something like that, and I couldn't go. I was so bummed because I loved that band. Their first album still holds up. That
special band, I carry them close to my heart. I worked and traveled with them a lot too, and special dudes, man. I love them.
Yeah, no, they were rad, and
they smelled better than any other band in Sacramento. I'll tell you that.
They were all like three pretty good looking dudes, and they were clean. They had the best equipment too. I just remember the drummer Andy. He had like a gold sparkle kit. It was amazing. But yeah, man, I saw them at Bojangles a whole bunch of times. Kind of just saw them whenever we could, and obviously you remember Kyle Leslie. That was like his.
Of course, yeah. God rest his soul.
Yeah, man, that was that sucked. But that was like his big band where he was just like, dude, I think he
Kyle loved Seventh Standard. He lived for them, bro.
Yeah, I think he may have like auditioned for them when they were needing a guitar player, or he jammed with the lead singer or something. I remember he was just like over the moon about it though. But so then just through kind of booking your own shows, you kind of got into that world of just kind of being with bands. Did you manage bands?
I managed one band at a time called Anguish Unsaid.
Oh, I remember them.
I was their first drummer, and then it was like this hardcore band, and then we, so I managed them, and then I didn't like managing bands. I'd rather put on shows and stuff. So that was like my my forte, I guess, putting on shows. And then I started my own band. Hey, actually, I can officially, I guess, announce this on your podcast. I haven't spoke to the band yet, but I guess like the band's actually getting back together or something. We're going to be doing something live, not live, but some live streaming stuff when I get back to California soon.
Oh, hell yeah, man. So that'll be, that's Long Drive Home, obviously.
Yeah. Andy moved from San Francisco back to Sacramento, and he's going to be, he's the one who brought it up. So he called us up 2 weeks ago, and he was like, hey, let's do this again. We had so much fun. And so we are starting the band. So I guess you're the first person actually on your podcast. Here we go.
Awesome, Steve. Man. I appreciate it. That's cool. Because when did he wasn't an original member, was he?
No, he was in Anti-Domestics from Stockton.
Jesus Christ. Okay. There's all these bands now that are flooding back, like Anti-Domestic. Yeah, God.
All that shit.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. I think that's unfortunately because of the state of the world. That's what's going to be happening more is just these like weird live stream things or, just YouTube specials essentially.
Who knows what's going to happen? It's going to be an interesting ride. And of course, my whole life has been turned upside down because of all this. Well, I think all of us have, but like meaning my profession. So anyways, whatever.
Yeah. I didn't realize, so going back to that Glastonbury's festival, I didn't realize how big it was. I was watching an interview with somebody, I think it may have been, it was Dave Grohl. He did like a podcast type thing with Lars Ulrich from Metallica. And he was like, we've played all these festivals and stuff. And he kind of like just took Glastonbury as not for granted, but just assumed it was another festival. And then he didn't know it was the biggest festival in the entire world. Is it just, what makes it so much different than anything else out there?
I don't know. I think it's just because there was that whole like hippie Woodstock vibe where it's just like in the middle of nowhere and everyone can commune there, I guess. I think, and plus I think at the time there was just the music was just there was like that after the British invasion thing. I think everyone was looking for the next big thing, and I guess festivals was the way to bring people together. And Glastonbury came at the right time, I guess. I don't know, but it is the only festival that can actually go on sale without announcing their lineup and it being completely sold out before their lineup being announced, because everyone knows it's going to be a big deal. So it's kind of interesting knowing that my boss, I guess you can call him, or the founder of my company is involved with them, because that really brings a lot of clout to the festival I work with. Actually, it's thanks to them that I think thanks to him that we were able to get a good reputation based on his reputation, Glastonbury, and all that stuff. But yeah, Coachella is just on top too. It's just they're both, I think, them and Primavera and Coachella and Glastonbury are the biggest festivals on the planet.
Yeah, I've never been to Coachella. I've had a couple opportunities to go, but it just seems like it's really hot.
Yeah, I've been there 4 times, and and shade's not always oh man, yeah, you get out there like a freaking lobster too. Yeah. Get really, really red.
Yeah, my concert experiences have kind of been ruined because when you get like those all access passes and you can go wherever you want, it's really hard to go to a concert and then just like stand in the crowd. Like, so I think I kind of only want to go to a festival if I have that opportunity.
Yeah, and again with the kids now,
yeah,
there's a lot of festivals that cater to. I think I went to Austin City Limits. It's a great festival in Austin, Texas, and they had the most amazing like grounds for children. Like it was amazing. There's a lot that can really help your family actually have a little more stress-free environment while you're out there.
Yeah, no, they'll stay home. Like I'm not bringing them. We were supposed to get all access for last year's Aftershock, and they just kind of kept falling through. So like after this, my wife's like, "You're gonna go to all 3 days," and I was like, "Well, we're supposed to get these passes," and they never fell through. So like the last day I didn't go, but yeah, it was kind of a stretch with leaving them home and coming home half drunk at like 11 o'clock at night. So
feeling young again.
Yeah. So, hey, did you book the show? I mean, this is kind of like a random weird question, but it's a memory that's like seared into my brain. Is Simon Says playing at Lodi High?
Oh, okay.
You went to okay, so I don't know if they did the same.
I don't think I booked that gig. Obviously, I was the one who was booking that band. It was Head Trip, Simon Says, Like David, and Will Haven. Am I wrong or something like that? Or
I just remember Simon Says, man. I don't remember anybody else, but
they put on 2 shows at that school, and they were fucking cool. And no, it wasn't me. And yes, I was jealous. And thanks for bringing that up, because those are pretty cool shows.
This one was at lunch. And they just set up and started.
Oh, okay. You know what? That was straight up themselves. I helped in a sense, but it was really straight from them. It was Ryan Eagles and Zach themselves. They would call up high schools all the time. They would just do that because they would get money out of it and get their band name out there. Yeah. They would do that all year, man. So Lodi was just one of their targets. Yeah.
That's a brilliant idea.
Well, it worked because you know what? When you go to their shows, there would be 100 kids there. 100 more kids at every Simon Says show, and it was in result of playing these high school lunch shows. It really worked.
And it was non-advertised. Like everyone just kind of came out and was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Right.
But the main reason it stands out is because there's 2. So my buddy Rusty, we were standing there watching it, like, "What the fuck is this?" And he just decides to start stepping on guitar pedals while they're playing.
Oh no.
And then the other one was, I believe. So Mike, the drummer,
Mike Johnston.
Yeah, he's here in Folsom. He took his shirt off, and the principal got in his face about it, and they almost got in a fight.
About that. Yes,
yeah. Dude, it was nuts. Everyone's just like, first of all, what is going on? Why is this band playing? And then all of a sudden, it's like, why is the drummer trying to fight our principal? It was just this bizarre.
You can find some Simon Says on YouTube now.
What's that?
You could find some of their records on YouTube if you want to listen.
I have their record.
You do? Okay, I don't, but I've been wanting to get the streaming on it. I've been dying to get the El Cielo album. You know Dredge? Are you a fan of Dredge as
Yeah,
well?
yeah.
Yeah. El Cielo is not available on Spotify or Apple. I'm pretty bummed out about that.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorite records.
I never got too far into Dredge. I know there was one album that was, I think it was like a Green album. I can't remember what it is, but that one was really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it's good, but it's the one before that. Man, El Cielo was amazing.
Okay. Yeah,
I actually,
I
I
saw.
actually I toured with those guys as a roadie. I was there. I sold merch for them and shit. It's crazy.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna put my dog outside, but you can
Yeah, no
still
worries.
talk to me.
Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, I took my younger brother, to see them with Coheed and Cambria a long time ago. So,
I love Dredge. Come on.
it looks like it's a pretty nice day out in Montreal.
It is, and after all the winters we have here, we need these days, man, because our winters is really rough out here, man.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, man, it's all good. Kind of the joys of having a dog, right?
Hey, it really helped me in this quarantine thing. I'm a single guy now, so it was tough, and the family's in Cali, so I was getting tired of my TV, and the dog really took my I've been doing a lot less even social media. I don't do any of that Tinder stuff anymore. My dog has taken my time, and it feels like it's good for my health.
Yeah, man, that's good. Yeah, it's, I really kind of, when all this went down, I was like, because we were stuck at home with our kids for like 2 weeks, I was like, this is not going to work at all. And then our youngest, her in-home daycare opened, so they've been going there. But yeah, man, I really feel for people that are just kind of like single, don't really have, or if you're,
it could be really harmful for a lot of people with mental illness too. I've been on this, like, I don't want to see people for a trip for a year or two now because of all the burnout I've been going through over my work. It was constant every day, seeing people, meeting new people, being around people at the office, being at shows, traveling. I never had time to press pause. I never really, I don't know. It really got to me. So what I'm saying is I was yearning to have more alone time. Every moment I could be alone, I was doing it, and I loved it, and I wish I could do it more. And now I did it, and I'm okay with it. I wanted this. I could only, I'll be honest, like one more month or two, it could probably go a little crazy for me, but I'm going to start loosening out. And like I said, I'm going to go back to California either this summer, end of summer. Now that we work remotely from home, no more office now. So I can go back home and be closer to family and do work from there. So.
Yeah, I like my alone time too. But for me, it's been hard to get motivated. I work from home now, and it's just kind of like, all right, well, it's just hard. It's hard to stay motivated, and not be distracted while working, because it's like, I guess I should just turn the TV off and just put music on. That's what I should be doing while I'm working, instead of watching Dexter or something like that.
Yeah, Dexter. I'm on my second time watching it all over again. I love it.
It's a weird show.
I freaking love it, dude, because I'm all about those forensic shows, all those criminal reality, whatever. And he just, I don't know, he fits. I don't know. He's crazy. He's great. I got into it really bad.
It's almost like kind of campy though. Like, I watched it years ago and I was like, oh, this is great. And it had some like really bad seasons, but it also had like really amazing seasons. And then I just kind of started watching the first season again randomly. And it's almost like,
yeah, the first season after watching the rest, you're right. Because it was like, whoa, it was a little grainy.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're obviously still trying to figure the characters out, but dude, if you want to go into serial killers, I watched a not so chill documentary on Jeffrey Dahmer.
Is it the one on Netflix or?
No, it's on, I think the channel, it's called ID. I think it's just called Mind of a Murder.
Yeah, I got ID. I subscribe to that shit, man. I fucking pay for it. I love it. They have it on demand. I watch it all the time.
There's a Jeffrey Dahmer one, dude. I got like 20 minutes in. I was like, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. And I had to like go back to it like a day later. Yeah, not that chill.
Jeffrey Dahmer, that's a different story. He did some pretty,
yeah. So going back, like, so Silence Broken, like seeing them, and then you went in from Silence Broken into Long Drive Home, and Long Drive Home really kind of picked up some steam, and you guys were did you guys tour nationally, or was it just kind of local stuff?
Actually, when we were going to do our first national tour, we broke up that month.
Oh.
Too much pressure. Things were going great actually, but I think yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think we were just unexperienced, and things were happening fast, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't at the right place at the right time mentally. I wasn't mature enough to do anything actually at the time. So it's sad that it ended. But what was the question? I'm sorry.
Oh no, just kind of like I
The
guess
transition.
yeah, the transition.
Yeah, I
Or
went from a hardcore band to an emo band. A lot of people were doing that, like in bigger cities, and I was trying to get influenced by Berkeley, California, New York City, just trying to get like what was going on in those scenes, and that's what I fed off. And hardcore and emo was kind of like what was happening in the underground, and I want to be a part of it.
mm-hmm.
No one was really doing that at the time. In Sacramento, you had FAR that was heavy and emo. That was really dope.
Mm-hmm.
FAR was probably one of my most influential local bands outside of Pavement and Granddaddy and the Deftones. But damn, we come from a place with really good local music, man. And
yeah. Well, you had Pavement too out of Stockton.
Yeah, Murata, Pavement. Went to my high school. That's one of my claims to fame. After working in music after all these years, I realized how big of an impact that Pavement has, or just when people ask me, where are you from? And I say Stockton, they kind of like, a lot of people in the industry go, oh my God, with their accents. Like they know what Pavement is. They know what Stockton is because of Pavement.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Pavement fans in this industry, especially in Europe. And I've never felt so comfortable telling people I'm from Stockton in an outside environment, because usually when you tell anybody in California you're from Stockton, they kind of like give you they don't, either they say something or they don't say anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But being in a world of music, they don't really know all the details about Stockton that much. They just know the Diaz brothers and Pavement. And
Chris Isaac's from Stockton.
Yeah. But people our age don't really care about Chris Isaac. But like, I mean, it's kind of like an older thing, much older, like my aunts. But I'm proud of him. And actually, I love him. He's got class. Chris Isaac, man, we're turning this into Stockton, but Chris Isaac and Stephen Malcolmus of Pavement, those names take such a huge chunk, like in the underground or mainstream music world. And to know that those two guys are from that little town at that time was very small, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's just incredible how much they've accomplished, and they don't even get enough credit. Stockton is so culturally unbalanced that they don't even care or notice what their fruits are, what the good parts of Stockton. And Pavement have been such an influential thing, but it's not really. Pavement's so underground and not really accepted in mainstream in the United States. It's more like when you go to Europe, they're like, how we look at Blur out here as like a big deal.
Yeah,
Pavement is that in Europe.
Oh, wow.
That Pavement is like Blur. It's like, actually Blur, one of their favorite bands is Pavement. And there's this, you could find it online, but that song "Woohoo" by Blur is specifically written about a member of Pavement, Bob.
Oh, really?
He was the guy who played all the weird stuff, did a lot of noises in the background. They loved him, and they wrote a song about him because they played together or something, or they're big Pavement fans. But anyways,
now,
is this a music podcast, or what's your main focus? It's whatever, right?
Man. I had a buddy that's an activist on yesterday out in Concord, and I've had, photographers, and I've had best friends, and it's just whoever. And
your listeners are mainly based around locally and your circle of people, or is it like mainly a California thing?
When I look at the analytics, it's I mean, there's maybe 50 people that listen to this thing right now. So that's why I got to keep putting them out and getting it going. It's not a huge fan base, but like just through, I'm sure I'll post you in one of the whatever, and then you share it and it goes out. But it's a small fan base if you want to use it.
It's fun. I like it because having a talk with you is like having a talk with a friend from my hometown, and I think that's it's comforting for me. Yeah,
and I just kind of use it too as like I used to play drums. I could still sit down and play drums, but I kind of lost that drive a little bit. And then for like a few years, you're just like, fuck, man, like I haven't done anything creative in a while. I don't want to be in a band. I don't really want to just play drums by myself. and I love podcasts. Like I listen to more podcasts than I listen to music most of the time. And so yeah, then I was just like, oh, it's pretty easy to do. And I found a guy here in Sacramento that kind of helped me put it all together. And so yeah, I did it. Like that was like my New Year's resolution, unintentionally, I guess.
And you're in Folsom, live out of Folsom, you said?
No, I'm in Sac.
What part of Sac?
Do you know where the Whole Foods is on Arden?
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I used to work with Dimple out there, man. Close to
Yeah,
Dimple.
we're not that far. So we're like, it's called the Garden of the Gods or whatever area that we live in. It's ridiculous. Like there's streets named like Morpheus and stuff like that by us. So it's a cool area. Yeah, we were in like Tahoe Park, East Sac area, but our house was just too small. And then we got a ridiculous deal on the place out here. So it's cool. But yeah, no, the podcast.
Back to you playing drums. I was gonna say, why don't you get some lessons from Mike Johnston from Simon Says?
I actually had a guy on one of the first podcasts, CM Strange, who went to one of his camps. He offers these like week-long drum camps, and he went out to one, and he said it was amazing. But
Mike Johnston's like, I watch his like Instagram stuff. Like, oh my God, he's so pro. He communicates so clearly, and he's just a badass. And he's like doing all this by himself.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a long time too by himself. And it's funny too, kind of going back to like the whole Simon Says thing. You know, he doesn't play that style at all. He's more of almost like I don't even know how to describe his style, but he doesn't do any of the rock stuff anymore.
I think he was even ahead of their time back then. He was just kind of like their friend and the best thing they could find. And he just was trying to get out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a different wolf in that pack. He was different.
Dude, I remember seeing them, like they were never really, I don't know. I never really got into them. I think I just bought their CD at the Midnight Bean because it was like $5.
I booked that show September 11th. Hey.
Oh, 9/11.
I got a picture right here of that show.
Right. You're going to go get the flyer from the show.
On my fridge, September 11th, Lodi, California.
Oh,
I
nice.
put on this show. And this is a picture of and this was Long Drive Home's first show ever.
Oh,
it was
wow.
With Simon Says. Stephen Druin took this picture.
Yep, I know him.
I see that because his name's in the back.
Oh, yeah.
And Simon Says played that show. And I remember how much money I made at the door. That was the first time that I had too much money. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I made 4 digits and up. I was just like, that never happens. You know, Stockton, Lodi, you're lucky if you make $300, $400, $500.
Yeah.
But that one, it was because it was our first show, and we went from that hardcore band Sounds Broken, A Long Drive Home. I brought in Simon Says, and I want to say I brought in a band that I love called Orisha from Sacramento. I love them. Oh man, they had a song. Singer's name is Jacob Golden. He's got some stuff online. He's in the UK now. He was signed to Rough Trade for a minute. But long story, that show was such a big deal. That's when I realized, oh shit, there's money to be made here actually. And that's when I started like spreading out, doing more shows. And I realized the more shows you put on, the more you make, you know. Yeah. But you know, at the time I was such a nice guy that I didn't really want to make money. I gave it all to the bands because I wanted them to think that I am the cool guy.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when Juliana Theory played Lodi, they asked for $300. I gave them $500. I gave them a place to stay, and I took them out for breakfast.
Yeah.
Why? Because I that's how I built my resume, man. I wanted to. Hey, I ended up being such good friends with those guys, and I went on the road with them. They invited me to the studios at George Lucas's studio, and
oh wow,
whatever. They just like. Whatever, it just was a way for me to build relationships. So I would give them more than what they wanted just to make them happy. And I knew a lot of them were on the road and they didn't have much money. And I made all that money. I could have taken a cut. Mm-hmm. No. And I bought pizza for everybody the night of the show, bought them breakfast, gave them a place to stay in Lodi. And that's how I build my my thing. But yeah, so you're bringing up a lot of old memories. But yeah, that's how it started. And that Simon Says show back that you talked about, the Midnight Bean. That's where you bought the record, and I know the year, but I don't want to say it because I'm going to feel old.
That was like mid
to
late 90s. It's fine.
Yeah, but it was on September 11th, which is significant because it was September, not on 2001 that it happened, but that date was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's I guess you won't forget that one. But yeah, I think the Midnight Bean is a hair salon now. And then
No. It's actually Lodi beer.
oh, it is because it was on the corner, right?
Yeah, Lodi beer is. That's funny because I'm looking at it right now. Let me show you. Hold on. While I'm talking, hold up. I'm all the way up in Canada, and look what I got, bro. Come on, look at me.
Oh, Lodi Beer Company coaster. Nice.
So this place turned into this.
Yeah.
Funny how I'm in Canada. I have like all these. Actually, those frames on my wall were from Lodi. They were my parents' coffee shop. There's another one over there. Okay. My parents owned a coffee shop in Lodi on Pine Street. And they, long story short, but they were the first ones to bring Starbucks to Lodi before Starbucks was a coffee chain in California. And we were selling Starbucks. And that's, I don't know why I'm telling you all this, but it was right by the Lodi beer, that whole downtown area. It's really charming.
What coffee shop is it?
It was called the Gourmet Sandwich. Now it's the Stogie's Cigar Shop across the City Hall.
Oh,
so I used to be my parents, and my mom was she's Lebanese, and she was serving Lebanese food. At the time, no one knew what falafel was in Lodi or hummus, and we got a big crowd of it, and no one was serving espresso coffees or mochas or cappuccinos, and we brought all that to Lodi. That was dope because we were right across the street from the courthouse and City Hall, and there's a lot of people with educated people with money at those places who didn't have those things that we had. So we really built up an audience there. My parents eventually sold it. I regret it because I would have kept that coffee shop. It was really charming. Really nice.
That's a cool little build. I like rarely, if I do go to Lodi, it's just like to go see my brother and do some stuff for the podcast and bail. But yeah, from what I've only been to Stogie's like once or twice, and it was a cool little building. So yeah, it would have been a cool thing to keep.
Yeah, man, I would love to be back there. But yeah, Lodi never really had any cool little places, but Midnight Bean was kind of like the first ever place that was like, hey, this is for you guys, you kids.
Yeah, they have. I mean, we had the senior center, we had the skate park. I remember going to shows at the skate park off of like, I mean, this is inside baseball here, but out by Habanero Hots, there was a.
I was there. I went there. Yeah.
And then somebody's remodeling. Yeah, we're going like way inside baseball on this Lodi shit, but there's somebody bought the Sunset Theater and they're remodeling.
Yeah, I saw that all. Actually, it's so funny because the day I went out to California last year, the morning I woke up, it was announced on the news. I woke up in Lodi. And I literally, I was driving by the day before and I saw the Sunset Theater. I took a picture. And I wake up the next morning, all over the news and Sacramento news, the Lodi Theater has been bought. And I remember the guy's name. Well, whatever. Long story short, I don't think it's going to work, dog. I mean, they paid with all the renovations and that theater is going to cost them about $6 million or more. You can't make that money back in a lifetime, I think, in Lodi. No. What I think is going to be a smart move is he's going to put all this money into it. He's going to realize one day this is not going to work, and he's probably going to sell it to a bigger company like a Live Nation kind of thing, who's going to come in there and buy it because it's already built all its money for a good deal, and they'll try to put some stuff in there. But even Lodi is not there yet. I feel.
And it's funny too because 15 years ago, maybe like around 2004, 5, 6, somewhere there. I contacted the people that owned it. It was some weird dude down in LA that owned it.
Yeah.
And it was, he
$2 million.
Yeah, $2 million, something crazy. And then I remember I went to City Hall and talked to some dude. I was like, hey man, like we could probably do something with this and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, look, we're waiting for someone to fucking set the thing on fire.
Yeah, they were.
And I was kind of like, oh, okay, so you guys do not want anything to do with this thing. And then who knows? That guy was a dick anyways. I have no idea.
They made it easy for people to try to break that. It was such a careless way to handle that place. It's sentimental for me because my ex-girlfriend was the manager of Sunset when it closed.
Oh, wow.
And she was older than me. And I used to go there a lot. I spent a lot of time in that office. And I'm kidding. Meaning my friends worked there. Mark Haley worked there. David Humphreys worked there. So I would be there all day. That's how I met her. She was their boss. And she liked me because I spoke French, and I scored my friend's boss, who was older than all of us.
Yeah.
But Sunset Theater had so many memories. I used to go hang out on the roof, have food there, throw things at cars. Yeah. I have so many memories, and now knowing it's going to reopen, I'm happy, but I just don't think it's the right vision for the place. And honestly, I don't think it's, like I said, Lodi's not ready for, they don't have that cultural following except for wine. Wine is working in Lodi, but that's the only thing working is wine and Walmart.
Yeah. But I mean, you kind of have like San Francisco not that far. You got SAC. It could be a good in-between place for bands to come through. But
that's why big company like Live Nation would buy it, because they would use it as a middle ground for pouring and routing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually I reached out to the guy that bought it to see if he wanted to come on the podcast just so we could kind of share stories and just kind of talk to him about it. And he never really got back to me. He said he was going on vacation, and that was like 3 months ago. But
well, now he's on the infinite vacation because I don't think he's gonna want to open that place anymore.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's I've only seen like the prints that they've put up on like Facebook or whatever when I log in. But it looks like he's keeping it like somewhat original, but at the same time, man, like that thing it's considered a landmark because it's like 75 years old. It was built in the 50s.
I saw the interviews with him. He said the right things. He spent time there growing up, and he wants to see, he said the right things. I'm happy to see a local guy doing it than some LA douchebag or sorry. But I think if he bought it to make, I think he's got money and he just wants to put his family to work and have fun and do something and sell it someday. But best luck to them. If I were back in Lodi, I would definitely want to collaborate with them and do some stuff. But again, I just don't think Lodi's ready for anything that's going to be, it's for a certain audience. I mean, there's definitely potential there for things, but not in my world.
Yeah. I don't, it's just that in-between place, right? It's a great city. I guess it's a good place to raise kids and whatever.
I love Lodi, dude. I love going back there. Me, I guess it's different. Everyone who still lives there, and when I lived there, we all hated it.
Yeah.
But I think it's the, I don't know, it sparks my energy level. It rejuvenates me when I go back. I think it might just be those, because I have my old room back. I see my old friends. I see the old streets, my old high school, every memory from, the first time I heard Nirvana or I bought this, everything happened there. And to me, it was a great childhood. And man, I loved it. And I still go back there, and I feel better now because when I was going after my teen years in Lodi, that whole rough side of things started popping out. Everyone wanted to fight. Everyone was intimidating each other. It was like everyone was scaring each other, and like everyone wanted to be tough. And I don't know. I was getting beat up by random Mexican gangs because I had a skateboard. I had so many. It was getting scary to go out. Mm-hmm. Now I go back, and I'm not affiliated to anyone, anything, no drama. I feel like I'm just like an old guy now walking there, and I'm okay with that. But back then, there was a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it was definitely, and I think some of that pressure probably comes from just being in high school too.
But Lodi has a certain way to deal with things. I mean, there's Stockton down there, and Lodi is just trying to be that like older, tough white brother. Like I don't know, not tough, but like. There's a lot, I guess, because I was in that skateboarding world. I worked at a record store. I was always around all the hooligans and the punk rockers and the tattoo shop guys and the auto repair guys, all the guys with tattoo, and that tattoo culture was really big in Lodi. And those guys were fucking tough. And I was hanging out with sharps, skinheads against racial prejudice from the Bay Area would come down to Lodi because their parents would live there. So you were always around these people with a lot of testosterone and a lot of like, the fuck are you looking at, bro? Like this attitude. And I had moved from Canada, and I saw it progressively getting worse. I'm like, yo, where I come from, people don't talk to each other that way. And I saw that fine line between. I mean, you might have just been raised in it, and that's your world. But where I came from, it was different. And Lodi, it wasn't dangerous, but it was just that pressure, I think, of that age and that in time.
Yeah, it was very intimidating at times. You go into a show and we were going to shows to have fun and, because we love music. And then there's people that go to shows just to fuck people up too.
Yeah.
So there was that kind of vibe too, where you're like, oh, okay, I'm just going to stand here. I'm not going to leave this.
People were always looking for trouble. I guess it's before the iPhones and all that stuff. People had nothing else better to do. Yeah. But damn, you just always kind of have to watch your back no matter what, And I still think it's that way. Because when I go back, I'm seeing a lot of those Latino gang members, like at 16 years old, like in the newspaper doing a lot of crimes. And I have friends who work in the hospital out there. And I'm like, so what's it like? What kind of people go in there? It's like, oh, no violence. It's like, we get a lot of young gangbangers who get shot, a lot of those, and they're young, 16, 17. Those are the ones to be careful. And that was that age group we were at then. That was scary. It's like, I guess there's something I think my friend Tim Warner said it best one time. Tim was like, Lodi in the summer, it gets hot. And if you're young, 16, and you're trying to be tough and in that temperature, it gets to your head and you start doing shit. You start popping your gun off everywhere, left and right. And he's so right, because I realized that I started looking at the pattern after he mentioned that. And in those warm summer months, that's where he said, it gets hot, dude. It gets hot out there. And when he says it gets hot, it's not just hot, it just gets hot overall. And people want to, they lose it.
It's a pressure cooker. You know, even if you don't have that kind of like mentality, it's just that thing where you're just like, this sucks. Fuck this. I got to get this out somehow. So,
I mean, that Nick Diaz and that guy used to be so fucking, we're talking about Lodi and Stockton, but here's the deal. I mean, Nick was always in my circle of friends. He was always hanging out with my Murata boys, with the Humphreys and the Haleys, and he was always around. But what I did is I wanted to stay away from that guy. You know why? At 15 years old, you could sense the fucking beast in it. You could say at 15, Nick Diaz was like the scariest guy I knew. And he didn't ever talk or point to me or anything, but just the way he carried himself at 15. Look at him now. It makes so much sense to who he is now, because back then I just knew, like, dude, don't even get in his way. He's hanging out with you. He's with your friends. Just don't even talk to him. Because even when he came to the record store, he would recognize me. Oh, hey, what's up? You know, but even then I was scared. He would always look over his shoulder all the time. Just always like looking for someone to look at him wrong or something. And that was intimidating. But we were just talking about, he had that. Like, he scared the fuck out of me. So you know what I did? Like I did with a lot of Latino gang members in Lodi, was I worked at that record store. When they came to the counter, I would give them a fat ass discount. And I would make it clear that, like, I hooked them up because I don't ever want to get beat up by your ass. And that's how we communicated. Like, they like, all right, then, all right, you're good. And that got me out of so much bullshit, bro. Like, a lot of stuff. Nick and other people have come up to people for me on lunch hour and say, hey, keep your eyes and finger or hands off this dude. He's with me. You know, and I needed that because at the time, Latino gangsters were just jumping skaters left and right. And Nick Diaz was like that perfect balance. You know why? Because he was like one of those Latino gangster guys, but he was kicking it with all the white boy skaters. Yeah. He was like he liked the Deftones. Yeah. And he was hanging out with all of us. And it was awesome because he had both worlds. So he stuck up for us. He made us look a little more legit, you know? And I appreciate that because we needed those tough guys to represent us. And back then it was skaters versus gangsters. Yeah. It was weird.
Yeah. I've seen Nick a few times. I've seen him at shows here in Sacramento. And, you know, like 5-10 feet away, and you can feel it. And part of it is like, oh, that dude fucks people up for a living, you know, like that dude, he's an ultimate fighter. So there is that, but then there is just kind of like that, you know, he's an intense dude. He's a pretty intimidating dude, but from everyone I know that's met him, so he's the coolest guy.
Yeah. I reconnected with him in Lodi, and he sees me on, oh, hold on. My God.
Oh, the puppy. Oh, man.
Okay, puppies. Are you okay? I'm sorry.
No, man, that's all good.
Yeah, but the influence he has now in the world, it's just crazy because I remember like it were yesterday, like I'd see him, I still envision, he was such a particular guy growing up. Like it was Nick Diaz, and to see that beast he became today, it makes sense in hindsight how I felt about him. Like I just knew he was a massive character, but I always knew that he just kept everything bottled in. He was pissed. He was always mad because he didn't have anything. He had no money. He didn't have any cool things. All he had were these things. And always go like this, like what? You know, that's all he had. And that's how he learned, and that's how he made his fucking money. I respect that.
Yeah, no, he's a savage, dude, and he's definitely worked for everything he's got. Hey, so do you remember? I'll wrap it up after this, but I just have a question for you. Do you remember that? First of all, there's two things. I auditioned to play drums in Long Drive Home, and it didn't work out.
Was it Ann that brought you in?
Yeah, because I was in the church band with Ann.
Yeah, dude, that's right.
Yeah, so you guys had the rehearsal space across from where is it that?
Yeah, that's where all the bands stay at that I told you about earlier. Like Julian,
yeah.
they can stay up there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that was a sick room. That was great.
Yeah.
And second, there was a Deftones show at the Memorial Auditorium. It was like their homecoming show.
When Chino got the keys from the mayor of Sacramento.
I don't know. I don't remember that.
Okay.
I just remember it being. I think Quicksand played.
Yeah.
Quicksand opened, and I think Far. But you were there, and I just ran into you there. But my memory from that show is it was the loudest show I've ever been to in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I was legit concerned that my hearing was fucked because it was like 3 or 4 days later, it finally came back. But those 3 or 4 days, I was like, oh no, this sucks. I don't know if I can hear it.
It was loud. Memorial was a weird place for hard rock shows. It wasn't the best quality, but yeah, it was loud. I remember that show specifically because I remember getting into a car with a girl named Lauren Greedy and Scott Parker, God bless his soul. We got in a car after and got in an accident on J Street and the cops were involved. I just remember specifically that. That was so long ago, and you have a good memory.
I do. I've done a lot of damage to my brain, but I can remember certain things. But yeah, it's actually they did a huge remodel on that place, and I saw Queens of the Stone Age there about 2 years ago now, and the sound is awesome.
Huh.
So yeah, I saw Rancid and Dropkick Murphys there too.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the beer line sucks.
Those were outside of what I think Arco Arena was the biggest place outside of Memorial, right? I mean, that was like the biggest you can go. Yeah.
Yeah, now you got the Golden One.
So many memories, man. When I drive by that place, I just have, I love it out there. You're lucky to be there. Sacramento is just, I don't know. There's something about the sun out there when it just shines on you. It's like that cup of coffee given to you. It's like, there's just something about it. I don't know. You're lucky.
Yeah,
I don't know how warm it gets there in the winter and the summers. I haven't been there in a long time. Yeah, I don't remember how hot it got.
We hit 103 the other day.
103.
Yeah, it was pretty fucked up. It sucks.
And is it humid a lot?
Yeah, there's been a few evenings where it's pretty humid, but for the most part, like it just gets really hot during the day. But it's perfect now. It's probably like 70-ish. No, not 70. Maybe like low 60s right now. So.
Is it still like breezy at night? Not too hot?
Yeah, it's actually kind of breezy now. It's perfect.
Cool.
So, but
I can't wait to
hey, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know you probably got stuff to do and clean up puppy diarrhea.
It's the weekend, so it's just going to be some cleaning up to do. But thank you, Steve. I appreciate what you do, and it's great to hear your voice and see you. And most importantly, the memories and throwbacks you popped up. Like that was. I did not expect that.
So, yeah, man. No, thanks. I appreciate the time. And then if you want to give a little plug to M for Montreal and where people can find you.
Do that. I will. And I'll also post your, once you put up your podcast, I'll make sure I spread it.
Okay.
I don't know if a lot of people, there'll probably be a couple nosy Montrealers who'll want to hear what I'm talking about. But I think if we tag a few of the things we spoke about, like a lot of our boys, like from those bands we mentioned, we might get a little bit of action there to people to get them. So many people are bored these days, so they might just listen to a podcast. You never know.
Absolutely. So, all right. So, yeah, you can be found on social media at Mikey B.
M4 Mikey, and then it's the number 4, not FOR. So M4 Mikey.
Yeah. Cool, man. All right. Well, hey, it was good talking to you, and I'll definitely look forward to hanging out with you when you come back.
Yes, man. You take care of yourself and be safe with your family and keep everyone happy. And thanks for doing this, bud.
Yeah, man. No problem. You too, brother.
Take care, man.
All right, dude.
Cheers.
Later.